Personally, it's troubled me a great deal, and I sent out a call on Facebook. I said, does anybody know a good clown out there I can talk to? Because to me, a clown is a good thing. I've always laughed at clowns. I go back to Emmett Kelly, and my young producer here is going to throw up a picture of Emmett Kelly at some point. That's going way, 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 way back, the original Emmett Kelly. But a long story made short, I was reintroduced to a maybe not a young man, probably one of my contemporaries, but a professional clown. That's our picture of Emmett on the screen. When I think of clowns, I think of Emmett, I think of Bozo, and I've become reacquainted with this fine clown, long-time participant in being a clown, a great guy. We had a great conversation on Saturday. Charles Pia. How you doing, pal? Charles, are you there?
Sure. Yes.
How you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Fine, thanks. And we're going to be showing a number of the pictures of you in your clown attire as we're going forward. And I'll tell you, what troubled me was, and I think we had spoken about this on Saturday, I was driving home from New Haven. You know, I live upstate, and Curtis Sliwa on WABC Radio was interviewing Cito the Clown, talking about all of the issues that are taking place now with this evil clown thing. And personally, I found that troubling because to me, a clown was always a symbol of laughter and joy. You forget your troubles, and you take your kids to the circus and you goof around. And it's kind of reminding us that when we're going through really tough times, we could still laugh. And I can only imagine this has got to be a terrible burden to a guy like you. You're a career clown. You've been doing this for a number of years. When you started to hear about this, how did you feel?
Well, in the beginning, it was just, once here, once there, and everything else. Over the last 2 or 3 weeks, when you see people putting posts up on Facebook or social media saying that if we see a clown, we're going to run him over with a car, we're going to go out and we're going to run after him, we're going to beat him up or something else. And that makes it really hard because everybody who's been having birthday parties or like parades or things like that, it's very hard to get somebody involved to come and perform at these events. So we were just supposed to be in a Columbus Day parade last Sunday, and all the clowns gradually started backing out, even though I convinced them that, we'll be okay in the parade and stuff. It wasn't the parade that was bothering them, even though they were afraid, somebody might throw something at them or whatever. But it was, hey, we got to get to our car after we're done, and we can't just scrub off the makeup because it's grease paint. What's going to happen to us on our walk to the car? So it had a major effect on everybody. There's a massive parade in Stamford for Thanksgiving, and we have about 40 clowns in that parade. We're going to host a special meeting next week just to discuss whether or not we should have these clowns even in the parade right now because of everything that's going on. So it's made a major impact. Now, me, I don't do it like I used to. I do it here and there. But there's guys that they make their living doing this. And right now, their living's just been taken right out from underneath them.
And I just find this, I don't know. There's so little innocent and good in this world today. I mean, maybe when we were growing up, we all idolized Mickey Mantle. We found out years later that Mickey Mantle drank and chased women. Yeah, I get that, but it's like you got to go after clowns for crying out loud. It just troubled me.
Well, I think the problem is, somebody took one of the scary clowns. It's not really clown faces. It's not a birthday clown. It's not a Ronald McDonald. It's not an Emmett Kelly clown. It's a scary clown face, like from the scary movies. And somebody went out and got a mask and ran around and did some crazy things with it, and got news feed on them, information, everything else, the news media picking it up. And then somebody else said, "Oh, that's pretty funny. Let's do it too." And what's happened is now this thing's turned into a snowball effect. Mm-hmm. And every time they report it, it seems like more and more and more people are going out and doing it. They're buying these scary masks and they're running around doing something thinking that they're funny. The problem is it's really not funny. It's making people who clowns to be afraid of clowns. It's making little kids not appreciate clowns anymore because they're going to associate them with some guy running after them or jumping up on mommy's car or something else. So it's going to take a lot away from the clowns for future generations, because all they need to do is be scarred one time with something drastic like that, and it leaves a long-lasting impression on them.
Yeah, for certain. And listen, if Charles Pia ruled the world with respect to clowns, what would he tell everybody as far as how we should all be looking at the art of clowning? What do we need to do to get this thing back to really where it needs to be?
Well, the sad thing is the art of clowning is very intricate. I was very lucky when I was younger when I decided to be a clown. I like to see people smile, so one day I decided I was going to learn how to be a clown and make people smile and laugh and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to learn, and I hung around. There was a clown alley that I got associated with back in, oh my God, it was the 70s and 80s. And I was taught a lot, and we did a lot of events together and everything else. There's a lot that goes into it. So with this parade at Stamford, I've gotten involved more and more over the years, and last year I think I brought in like 20 clowns extra, new people that wanted to just be a clown and have fun. And when I told them how much work goes into it, they were all like, oh no, a clown just runs around and he acts silly. After the parade was over and we all got together about a week later, they were all sitting there talking to me saying, I can't believe how much work goes into it, because there's a lot of planning. You have to know how to approach people. You have to know, if you see somebody who looks scared, how to walk away gracefully where you're not going to make them more scared. You can't just turn and run, because it's like, that's what a burglar does. So there's a lot that goes into it. How to approach somebody who's not really looking so that they don't get scared. How to act, how to have fun, how to make somebody laugh. I mean, there's a lot that goes into the craft, and where people just think, oh, you're a clown, ha ha. It's a craft, and there's a lot of time and energy and learning that goes into doing it and doing it successfully.
Now, did you go to a clown school or a clown college, or is this something you learned as you started to do clowning?
Well, the sad thing is Ringling Brothers Clown School, I think, closed up last year. But that's where a lot of people went to learn. I was lucky where when I wanted to do this, there wasn't really a lot of clowns in the Stamford area. When I got associated with Clown Alley, if they had a job or a gig to do in New York or somewhere, they would call me as they're driving through and pick me up and take me. And I got to learn from these guys who had been doing it already for 20, 30 years. They were old professionals and everything else. And taught me, because after our gig was over, we would go to a restaurant and sit down and eat in our costumes. And if the owners wanted us to, we would walk around and entertain all the tables. So it was cool because you learn how to walk up to the tables. You learn how to look at a table and watch somebody's expression and know that they didn't want you to come by their table. And it's the same thing doing a parade. You got to know the groups that you come to. Just because a bunch of people call you, tell you to come over to their section, doesn't mean you should really go over there, because they might be calling you because they have one person that's petrified. So there's a lot that really, really, really goes into it. And I mean, then you can take it the next notch where you're learning mime, you're learning magic, you're learning balloons, you're learning basically like to be a theater actor and everything else. There's quite a bit that goes into it. So for these scary clowns to come out right now, and I just watched a guy on the news who actually lost 4 jobs over the coming weekend because people decided they didn't want him at the parties anymore or the events. And that's sad, because this is a guy's living that's being affected by all this stuff. And I'm hoping that it dies down soon. That maybe the media, and I don't know if this is right or wrong, maybe that the media doesn't report on a clown running up and down a street and doing things, because, you know what, maybe they'll stop doing it then. They're not getting the attention anymore. So, I don't know what the solution is, the right solution, but I I know it's having a major impact, and it's going to have an impact on parades, events, birthday parties, everything.
Well, and how could I put it? It's, I mean, you know me, and I'm a pea brain. For every 6 inches you move to the right, if you want to go back 6 inches to the left, you now got to go 12 inches.
Yep.
So that's a lot of extra, whatever you want to call it, effort on the part of good guys like you wanting to be clowns to show people that clowns are not evil, they're good, and they want to make people laugh.
Yeah, and that's why most clowns like me, I was 16, 17 when I started, and it was just, I used to feel bad seeing people with sad faces or not laughing or something else. So if I could run down a hallway or into a room and jump and make my presence known and make people laugh, there's not a price tag that you can put on those few seconds of somebody laughing right.
Oh, for certain.
I mean, that's priceless. And so you're taking a bunch of people that want to do nothing. It's not about money because clowns aren't rich.
For sure.
So these are people that actually care about people. I mean, there's a lot of clowns that work in hospitals that walk floor to floor. Most of that, if not 90% of that, is all volunteer work.
Mm-hmm.
Just to walk in rooms, make people happy, make kids happy. I mean, this is a group that just wants to do it from their heart. They want to do it with love. They want to do it with affection. And they just want to put smiles on people's faces. And that's what it comes down to. And it's sad that all this is going on right now. I mean, even when we do a parade, and it takes you an hour to get the makeup on, depending on your face. I mean, some guys can do it in 15 minutes. But if you have a lot of makeup on, it's an hour process. Then you got to get to the parade an hour ahead of time. Then you're in the parade for a couple hours, and now a lot of times the clowns warm up the parade. So we're walking up and down the parade, and then we get in line, and then we walk the parade, and then you go home afterwards. So, I mean, you invest a lot of time and energy into these things, and a lot of them for no pay or very little pay, and you're doing it from your heart. And right now, with all this going on, they're giving the clown impression as something complete opposite.
It's in reading the life of Emmett Kelly, he wanted to make a sad clown because he wanted to pattern himself after the hobos that he had seen in the boxcars during the Depression. And he wanted to have, I guess if you want to call it dark humor, of, this is a man dressed as a clown who, I guess it was Wayward Willie was his character, and he wanted to make it like, I still want to believe, I still want to be funny, but I carry this sadness. And to watch him, I could remember as a kid, just to do the pantomime, and like on the Red Skelton show with the violins playing, Charles, it was really a work of art, and I just had such a respect at that point for clowns, saying this is an art to make people, to get their mind off of everything else, but for a moment.
Yeah, and you know what? The funny thing is, you bring up Red Fox, I'm not Red Fox, but Red Skelton, and younger people might not know who he is if they Google him or YouTube him and see some of his videos.
Right.
I mean, he was a phenomenal clown, mime, everything else. Even some of his characters, Freddy the Freeloader and stuff, are almost very cartoonish and very animated and very clown in nature. And again, a lot of times he took the same path as Emmett Kelly, taking the sad and bringing some life to it, giving it some body, making you feel good from down there, showing you the humor from all sides. You don't have to be happy and rich. Wealthy to be happy. You can be, you have things going wrong and still make the best out of a life and make the best out of a situation. He was almost a teacher. It was almost a philosophy the way Emmett Kelly did it.
Oh, yeah, it really was. It really, truly was. Now, to be a clown, do you have to be a jokester?
No. Like Emmett Kelly, it wasn't really a jokester. Red Skelton told jokes, but he didn't really tell jokes. He he thinks cute little anecdotes and have fun. You don't. I'm very hyper. I'm very. I have a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
So I can do a lot of things. There's people that can just walk around and just make silly faces. I mean, you don't have to be a jokester. You know, you can just make a face. Like Emmett Kelly. Emmett Kelly wasn't a jokester, but he can walk up to you and make you a couple faces or make some hand signs, and next thing you know, you were laughing and smiling and everything else. So you don't have to be a jokester. You just have to have heart.
Yeah, and that's for certain. Now, you mentioned, moving your face. A person that comes to mind for me is Jackie Gleason, who could make you cry or laugh depending on what type of a face he had.
See, what people don't understand is we try to teach us, when we teach people how to do makeup, that everybody wants to paint a big smile on their face and everything else. The thing is, you have to paint according to your face, so that when you do smile and your cheeks go up, your smile that you made or the mouth that you made on your face actually moves. If you bring your cheeks up high and you have lines, how to make the lines of the tears on your face move. You want your face to be animated, so you want it to change with your expressions. So you draw to your face. I mean, so if you have big cheeks, you're probably going to be making a little smile on your face or a little mouthpiece because your cheeks are going to get in the way. But when you move your cheeks and you move your mouth, it's going to be very animated. So the art of putting on the makeup is more than just looking at a picture and saying, I want to look like that one. That's good for Halloween. But if you want to be a clown, you have to make your face work with your makeup.
Yeah, and and you hit that level of sensitivity, and you realize how different all of our faces are.
Yeah, well, they are. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's really something. I mean, and when you think of clowns, in the whole genre of clowns, okay, Emmett Kelly, if you want to call him Willie Mays, but is he your favorite clown, or are there others that you kind of hold in similar esteem?
Actually, well, I always liked Emmett Kelly. I was very fond of Red Skelton and the things he could do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for certain.
As far as a white face clown goes, there was always, when we were little, Bozo the Clown.
Right.
I mean, he had that crazy laugh and the big pointy red hair and everything else. And he was a little animated. Jerry Lewis actually made a very good clown. And I actually did a drawing. I drew a picture of Jerry Lewis once that I used to have in my room. He was a very good clown. Not a lot of people even realize that he did clown work, but he did.
He really was a multi-talented individual who really doesn't get the credit for it.
Yes, he really was.
And, I remember him doing the telethon every year, and I'm very sorry these days that he doesn't, but that's probably a subject for another show. I mean, to me, that's like, taking Willie Mays' number 24 out of the Giant Hall of Fame. I just don't get it. But anyway, in our closing minutes, what we're going to do is, on this show, we will remind people clowns are good. Charles, I'm going to send you this interview. You use it where you see fit, and you just keep on doing the good clowning, and we're going to be cheering for you here, because in this crazy mixed up world, as Rick said in Casablanca, I mean, we got to get some laughs in, and and not at anyone else's expense. And to me, that's what clowning's all about. I thank you for taking the time to be with us tonight, and as always, best to your family, and sure we'll be talking soon, man.
Well, Tony, I just want to thank you for this opportunity to talk to you and to talk about this situation, because I think it's an important thing to talk about. There's a lot of people who depend on this for a living, and it's great to get the word out and start changing the people's impressions of what's going on right now, to let them know, hey, wait a minute. 3 months ago we weren't afraid of clowns, and we got to realize there's nothing wrong. These are good people who just want to make us happy.
If we're going to be afraid of clowns, Charles, we should be afraid of those running for political office. But that's another story for another time. Listen, man, you take care.
All right, have a great night.
You too. Bye now. And that was good clown Charles Pia. We're going to be coming back to wind out. And what a show it has been. And we will be telling you about our next show as we come back from the break. You want me to get it right, huh? It's not the pale moon that excites me.